Welcome back to Profi Plays. I'm Profi, and we are back into some Cepheus Universal with Wilbur, Orla, and friends. They are continuing their uh, survey of the Mucoria subsector. So, just as kind of a reminder, what we just did last time we hopped into a new system here, 401. We are being attracted to those systems that, one, we can refuel at, and two, have some way for us to leave our ship without needing vac suits because only one of us has a vac suit. We are not the most prepared scouts ever. Let's just put it that way. All right. So let's go ahead with this process, huh? So the next thing that I need to do then, we are going to do a uh, we're going to scan the star system, which we have just entered. So the process that we need to use here, it says each system contains a minimum of one star and 2d6 plus 2. In our case, that would be 6, 7, 8 planetary bodies. So we have 8. There we go. So 8 planetary bodies. So okay, to create a star system, first roll 2d6 plus 2. That follows very naturally from the previous sentence. All right, that's the number of planetary bodies that orbit the star. Now, another thing we need to potentially think about is there might be more than one star in the system. It could be a binary, trinary system. So you need to, again, roll 2d6. On a 9 plus, the system is binary, uh, where 11 or 12 actually indicates that it's trinary. Oh, we got a 5, though, so it's unary, or whatever you would call that. Okay, so there's only one. Okay. And it's the main world. First thing we need to do is figure out where the main world goes. So we go ahead and roll d6. So we are in the 6th orbit around. So this would be the main world. All right. Actually, for some reason, I'm like forgetting how I take notes. Professors, because you've not played enough of this recently. Well, no. Well, I mean, one, I'm honored. And two, yeah, I don't know that would actually help that much because my memory is not very good. Okay, okay. I've got my notes here. Yeah. Yeah, this isn't bad. This isn't bad. All right. So we found out where the main world is. We know a little bit about the main world. I could put my notes on that. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. All we know about the main world of 401 is that it is a 359, right? Which means it's kind of a small world, that 3 there. 5 indicating that this is a breathable, but I believe thin atmosphere. It might possibly, is it tainted? It might be tainted. I'd have to double check my notes on that one. But I think it's not. I think it's just thin. And then 9 indicating it's about 90% water, right? So this is a very wet planet as far as that goes. Okay. This also marks the boundary between the inner system and the outer system. Oh, it's already labeled as inner system, and outer system is also labeled at the bottom. Okay, you can't see that because I only have so much space. All right. Next thing we need to do. So we dealt with the main world, gas giants. So are there any gas giants? I think that we've already done that. Yes, we know that there are gas giants. We have established that. All right. And okay, so we need to roll d6 to determine their number. There are 4 gas giants. All right. And then we just roll 1d6, count out from the main world. Uh, okay, now we do have the problem that I'm supposed to place 4 gas giants, but they have to be in the outer system. You don't have gas giants in the inner system, except in like a really weird case of what they call a hot Jupiter. So that's not going to happen. So I'm just going to put the gas giants. The logical thing to me is that we just fill in the gas giants in the 2 orbits that exist there. That's it. Uh, yeah, that's it. So, okay, let me just describe this. So, roll 1d6, count out from the main world. An already occupied orbit cancels out the current attempt at gas giant placement. Move on to the next one. If the orbit is occupied by the main world, then roll 1d6. On 5 to 6, the main world orbits the gas giant as a moon. Otherwise, place the gas giant one orbit further out. Okay, wait. Okay. So this feels like what I'm supposed to do. The main world is a 1, right? So I'm going to go ahead and roll. So 2. So that means there is a gas giant here. So I'm rolling 4 times. Okay. Another 2. 5, and that goes too far. Another 2. And the last one is another 2. Okay, so there's actually only one gas giant. Okay. I think that makes sense. For each remaining planetary body that has not already been identified as a gas giant or a companion star, roll a d6. Oh, so that means everything else we roll is 6, and then that would be an asteroid belt. All right. So I just go, is this an asteroid belt? It is not. It is not. It is not. It is not. Oh, I want to show you where I'm rolling. Nope. And last, yes. So we do have an asteroid belt. Is like the furthest thing from the star in this particular system. Now, the rest of the planets, now here is where I always complain because what you're supposed to do is roll for size, atmosphere, hydrographics, and then you're supposed to classify these as a rock, hellhole, ice ball, desert, water world, or garden. The problem being that if you do that, sometimes you get things that can't be classified, and that really annoys me. That's why I've talked about this literally every time that I have done a system survey. Okay, we've only done it twice, but still, because the thing is, it's not uncommon. It's not like a weird case for you to have something that can't be classified according to this system. So what I'm going to do instead, right, is fix this because Cepheus Universal has a different system for filling in these other planets. Now, truth be told, I could just use the Cepheus Universal system for this whole process, couldn't I? Yeah, I guess I could. Well, I'm not going to. So, so what I do first here, right? First, you determine the world type, right? And then you determine the details about it so that the type determines what the size, atmosphere, hydrographics, and all are going to look like, including the temperature as well, which is kind of cool. All right, so here we go. Let's do this one. So I'm going to first roll, like, this is in the inner system, so I roll 2d6. I rolled a 6. A 6 indicates that this would be a rock. I'm going to do all the types first, and then I'm going to deal with the other tables. So 5 is also a rock. Just so you know, most planets in the inner system are going to be rocks. The next one, again, another rock. Anything 2 to 8 is a rock. 7 is, again, a rock. And then finally, at 7 is another rock. So we have lots of rocky planets in the solar system. Okay. Next thing, I want to do the size. Let's just do size for all of them. So for a rock with a size, you just roll 1d6. 1 through 4 is a 0. 5 through 6 is a 1 or 2. Right. I'm just going to say 5 is a 1, 6 is a 2. 4 would be a 0, so this would be size 0. I'm just going to write down here size for each of them. Then size 0, remember 1 through 4. Okay, size 6, this would be size 2. Size 0, and another size 2. Okay. Then atmospheres. Atmospheres, it's 1 through 4 is a trace atmosphere, 5 to 6 is a thin atmosphere. So you can just abbreviate as atmo or at. Now, trace versus very thin, I think that we actually have, like, there are numbers for that. I don't, yeah, so trace would be 1, very thin would be 3. By the way, the 5, I just double checked it. This is thin, not tainted. Okay, right, so it's either a 1 or a 3. And it's +1 if it's a planetoid. All right. So that means these two, because they're planetoids, would get a +1 on this. So atmosphere 5 indicates that's very thin, so that'd be a 3. 1, that'd be a 1. a 1, even with the plus 1. Okay, this one would be a 3. And then this one, plus 1. Okay, that's also a 3. All right, so we have a couple atmospheres here that are not necessarily horrific. Um, you still would need a survival mask in a very thin atmosphere, but it might be worth checking those planets out, potentially. All right, then we need to do with the hydrographics. You know what, this is, it's just the first three from, anyway. Just put an H above that. All right. And now the numbers here are it's either just going to be a 0 or a 10 to 20, depending on what the atmosphere is. So it's only possibly going to be a 10 to 20%, which would be an atmosphere, which would be either 1 or 2, if they have a very thin atmosphere. So all these ones, 0 and 0. Okay, so the other three, let's go and roll for those. I'd have to roll a 6 for there to be any water there. There is not water here. There is not water here. And last one, there's not water here. All right. One thing that I remembered is that I was supposed to roll for this. So let's go ahead and roll, see how long it takes us to do this thing. So Hazel has a +3 on this. It's a difficulty of 10, right? So, okay, it's going to take 6 hours, the standard 6 hours for this. The last thing that we can roll here, which I think is kind of cool, is temperature. Right, so inner orbit 1 and 2, it's an inferno. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark that inferno. It says other inner orbits are hot, and a main world would be temperate. So these are all hot. Okay. And now the main world here, if I were to try to classify this, how would it get classified? Well, 359. 3, 5. Actually, we can classify that. That's a garden world. That's good. And temperature, if it's a garden world, it's gonna make it even more temperate. So I'm just gonna make that temperate then. There we go. So if we're worried about that, we have that taken care of. All right, cool. Then other things we need to do in terms of the names. I'm just going to use like the standard Greek letters. So we have alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, and that's it. Okay, pretty sure that's the order. My Greek alphabet sometimes is a little bit rusty. All right, so we've named the planets. The next thing then that I do want to do here is let's figure out what our survey targets are. So I think it makes sense. Now for us to do this, we get to choose a particular planet, right? So that's the first thing. So choose the planet, and then we roll. All right, so let's go ahead and roll this. So we already spent 6 hours doing the standard survey, so now we're looking for survey targets. So let's go ahead and roll with 2d6. It's going to take us another 5 hours. So this is a total of an 11-hour process. I think that's basically going to mean this is going to take a day in effect. So I will have to mark off a day on my survey calendar. Good. And then next, let's go ahead and look for some survey targets. I think we're going to do survey targets here on the main world, which is a garden world. Garden world. There it is. All right, so this is a D66 table. So the planet here, this is going to be Zeta. Okay. Now the first target, the 64. 64 indicates plant life. Know what it says about the plant life? I can roll it. Okay, so it's an interesting ecosystem. And also, I want to know what type of terrain is it. 7. 7 indicates it's in the desert. Okay. Doesn't seem like the best place for plant life, but nonetheless, here we are. All right. The next one. Okay, we've got 23. The 23 would be ocean currents, specifically 6. Ocean currents, water discoloration. Okay. Now this makes a great degree of sense because this is a 90% water world. There's going to be a lot of water around. Now, I don't think it makes sense to look for terrain type here because it's it's the ocean. It's fairly obvious. Okay. And the last one, it's 55. It doesn't matter what order I read those in. 55 would be animal life, okay, or fauna. What kind of animal life is it? It's 6. It would be interesting or bizarre behaviors. Okay. And then last thing I want to do, I don't know what kind of terrain is that in. 7. It's also in the desert. So these two might actually be relatively close together. That'd be nice. All right, so next time then, our plan is we're going to go and we're going to search out one of these things. I'll think about which one seems the most interesting to me. And then we will see if anything comes of it, if anything is interesting as far as that goes. Let me double check to make sure that I'm not skipping any important steps here. Oh, I missed a reaction roll. Apparently, I was supposed to make a reaction roll after the survey. So let's go ahead and do that reaction roll. Remember, if it's an 8 or higher, then we don't have any negative reaction. Otherwise, we do have a negative reaction that we need to account for. 8, no reaction. So we're good to go. And that is it. So thank you to Hazel for getting all of that wonderful information for us. And we'll find out what's happening next time. Really, oh, I mean, maybe not next episode on the channel, but the next time that I play Cepheus Universal. Thanks for tuning in. And this is Profi signing off.